by Drew AngererGetty Images. Laura Ingraham may be the luckiest Fox News host in the network's history. On the day that her primetime show, The Ingraham Angle, was set to premiere, two of Donald Trump's former campaign staffers, Paul Manafort and Rick Gates, were indicted on 12 counts, including conspiracy against the United States. Hours later, news broke that a third former Trump advisor, George Papadopoulos, had pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his communications with a Kremlin-linked college professor offering dirt on Hillary Clinton. In other words, Ingraham and White House Chief of Staff John Kelly were not short on subject matter. But fruitful topics do not always lend themselves to substantive answers, and Kelly, whose public appearances in recent weeks have recalled embattled Press Secretary Sean Spicer, spent most of the interview deflecting Ingraham's questions and parroting administration talking points, even delivering a few downright Trumpian phrases of his own. Ingraham's first question was about the indictments. "What's the administration's reaction?" she asked. Kelly responded by brushing off questions about the details. "I'm not in a position to watch very much on the TV," and distancing the White House from all three former Trump associates. "All of the activities, as I understand it, that they were indicted for was long before they ever met Donald Trump or had an association with the campaign," he said, sounding eerily like Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. "But I think the reaction of the administration is, let the legal justice system work. Everyone's presumed innocent, and we'll see where it goes." He also insisted that no one else in the White House was worried the vast majority of the staff would have nothing to do with any of this kind of thing. "So there's no worry about it." As for the Mueller probe, Kelly believes it will wrap up soon. Through the rest of the interview, Kelly's language occasionally mimicked Trump's. "I would say that there's an awful lot of incredible vetting that goes on," he said when explaining why so many State Department roles remained unfilled, a statement he followed up with a defense of Trump's favorite extreme vetting. Extreme vetting is, we simply interview people and have to satisfy ourselves that the person we're talking to is indeed the person who they claim. And unlike his stone-faced reaction to Trump's Charlottesville speech, in which the president insisted that there were some very fine people among a crowd of white nationalists, Kelly had a more delicate, if revisionist, approach to Trump's defense of Confederate monuments. "I think it's just very, very dangerous, and it shows you how much of a lack of appreciation of history and what history is. I will tell you that Confederate General and Commander Robert E. Lee was an honorable man. He was a man that gave up his country to fight for his state, which in 150 years ago was more important than country. It was always loyalty to state first back in those days. Now it's different today. But the lack of an ability to compromise led to the Civil War, and men and women of good faith on both sides made their stand where their conscience had them make their stand." But the moment most indicative of Kelly's fallen transformation into a Trump surrogate, even more than his description of the Civil War as the result of a lack of an ability to compromise over slavery, came when Ingraham brought the topic around to the conflict that first dragged Kelly's neutral reputation into question: the president's public fight with Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, who denounced Trump's consolation call with the widow of LaDavid Johnson, an American Green Beret killed in action in Niger. In the midst of the back-and-forth, Kelly addressed reporters from the podium, lending his own credibility to the president's account and calling Wilson's integrity into question. A congresswoman stood up, and in a long tradition of empty barrels making the most noise, talked about how she was instrumental in getting the funding for a building dedicated to two slain FBI agents, Kelly said. Kelly declined to walk back his comments, insinuating that Wilson was a self-promoting liar. "As far as the young widow goes, she has every right to say what she wants to say. But it's the politicization of something that was so from the heart," he said of the president's call. When pressed by Ingraham to account for the existence of a video contradicting his characterization of Wilson's comments, Kelly said he felt no need to apologize. Then, he equivocated, "Well, I'll apologize if I need to. But for something like that, absolutely not. I stand by my comments."